How's it going, YouTube? Cintron Productions here. It is the month of October. Halloween is just around the corner. So it's a good time of year to upload a spooky video. A video about frightening monstrosities that rise from the grave and feast upon your flesh as you scream for mercy. A video that will leave you scarred for life, unable to sleep ever again. A video about...
I love you, you love me, we're a happy family.
Barney the dinosaur. Yes, you heard that right. You're probably thinking, is this some kind of joke? Barney is a dumb show for little babies. How can it possibly be scary? Well, my friends, that is a question that I will answer with this very video. Even a cutesy show that tastes like diabetes, such as Barney, has a few moments that are pretty unsettling and sometimes even creepy. Still don't believe me? Well, keep watching this video. If you dare. Number 5. Barney's original wink. You guys know how every Barney episode ends with Barney as a plush winking at the camera? Well, calling this a wink is a bit of a stretch cause that's just a sparkle. But the thing is, the Barney doll used to literally wink at the camera, and in my opinion, it just looked surreal. To see this, we have to go back in time to Barney's origins. Before the Barney and Friends TV show, in 1988, Barney debuted in a series of direct-to-video episodes called Barney and the Backyard Gang. Back then, Barney had a different design and a different voice. Anyway, the Barney doll winks at the end of each episode like he always does, but in the first few episodes of Barney and the Backyard Gang, the wink was animated, but it was so poorly animated that it just looked surreal and kinda off. Just look at it!
What do you guys do around here when I'm not around?
That wasn't scary. Okay, fine. These winks aren't really that scary, but still, I'm not a big fan of stuffed animals just suddenly winking at the camera. Winnie the Pooh did the same, and Pooh's wink seriously scared a bunch of children back then. Heck, even I think Pooh's wink is pretty creepy, to the point that I refuse to look at it. And Barney's old wink reminds me of that. Thank goodness they changed it for a sparkle. Okay, fine, it's not super scary, but it's surreal, right? That's why it's at the bottom of the list. Number 4. Uncanny faces. Okay, let me explain something. For the number 4 spot, I'll show 2 separate moments. Heck, these 2 moments are years apart from each other, but I decided to sandwich them together into one segment because both of these moments are creepy for the same reason. Disturbing faces that come straight from the Uncanny Valley. First, let's talk about a Season 12 Barney episode called The Misbegotten Moon, a space adventure. In this episode, Baby Bop, the supposed triceratops that looks more like a green hippopotamus, believes that the moon is missing some of its pieces, so she wants to fix the moon. She even tries to reach the moon by using a trampoline! Oh, but don't worry because Barney summons a freaking rocket ship and then they all go to the moon, where they meet this cursed abomination.
Hey, who's that?
I believe it's the man in the moon. Hello, Barney.
What is this monstrosity? Look at its atrocious animation and its disturbing face! Who approved this? Imagine how scary the moon would be if it actually had this kind of face. Looks like the moon from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask has some competition.
Even if you can't see me, I'll always be up here, shining down on you.
I don't even want to know you're there. I want to unsee you. Of course it winks. But sadly, this isn't the only uncanny smiley face in Barney. This other one thankfully has a lot less screen time, but it's worse because it comes out of nowhere. In the Backyard Gang episode 3 Wishes, at one point Barney and the gang are playing baseball as they sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Most of the song is fairly harmless, but then this eldritch horror appears with no warning whatsoever.
For the home team is
Seriously, who thought this was a good idea? Who? This kid yeets a poorly animated baseball with a face, which proceeds to ominously float towards the camera with its mouth wide open in an unnatural grin, and then it winks at the audience! Someone named Alan Mendoza uploaded the clip of this song to YouTube, and one of the comments in that video says it all. Jesus! What is up with you, Barney? You're supposed to entertain the kids, not scare the shit out of them! Dear God, those faces! Do they want to scare children? Number 3. Santa's creepy whispering. What happens in this entry is very unsettling, but it's also quite simple, so I'll go straight to the point. But I gotta warn you, this ain't pretty. This creepy moment happens at the very end of the Backyard Gang episode, Waiting for Santa. I don't know what happens in this episode, but from the title, I assume that Barney and his friends, well, wait for Santa. How can Santa Claus of all people be scary? Well, at the end of the episode, the jolly old elf himself appears, but then he suddenly stares directly at the viewer's soul, and then he whispers in a ghostly and menacing voice.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Santa! What is wrong with you? Santa is supposed to have a friendly voice, but his whispering just sounds unfriendly. Again, he sounds almost malicious and threatening.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. I don't feel safe.
Ho ho ho? More like ho ho no! Who knew Santa Claus of all people could be so creepy? Number 2. The bear in the cave. This next moment is extremely infamous because it's unnerving, tense, and it scared lots and lots of people, young and old. It happens in the Backyard Gang episode Campfire Sing-Along. Wow, pretty much all of these disturbing moments are from Barney and the Backyard Gang. I guess that Barney was very edgy back then. Anyway, in this episode, Barney and the kids are out camping and they come across a dark and ominous cave. And because they have no brains, I guess, they all go inside even though the cave has death written all over it. Wow, what a responsible adult you are, Barney, taking these kids into dark and creepy caves. Who knows what lurks in there? And look, the cave is glowing red. That's not normal. So they go inside and they goof around, playing with their echoes, but then they realize that something is in the cave with them!
Nobody here but me.
I don't understand why they put this scene in a show for toddlers! The children go inside a creepy-ass cave, then they hear a voice that's in there with them, then the kids scream and run for their lives. Even Barney is terrified and he's a freaking T-Rex! The unsettling music in this scene doesn't help at all. Then we see him, the bear. Even though he's smiling and he's wearing a nightgown, he still looks very unnerving with his dead, soulless eyes and the way he walks out of the darkness while moaning and groaning. If you look for this scene on YouTube, you'll find that many of the comments talk about how the bear scared the crap out of them as kids. The only remotely funny thing about the bear is that his voice kinda sounds similar to Boo Boo Bear's voice, you know, from Yogi Bear.
Spring comes earlier every year.
Well, hey, at least that bear scene wasn't as scary as the bear scenes from The Revenant and Annihilation. But still, that bear scene was pretty intense for younger viewers. Before we move on to the number 1 most creepily disturbing Barney moment, here's a dishonorable mention. The Winkster. In 1994, Barney had a live show called Barney Live in New York City. This live show actually had a main antagonist. Meet the Winkster, a strange character who moves in an unsettling way and looks like a clown or a mime mixed with a burglar. Quite a few people were scared of him, and they still are, probably because of his strange appearance, the way he moves, and the unsettling music. But I only included him as a dishonorable mention because he's not from an actual Barney episode, he's from a live show, and to be fair, his voice sounds kinda friendly and he admits that he's not that bad.
I don't try to be mean. That is not how I think. I just play my tricks and off I go as quick as a wink.
And while some people do not like him, other people don't mind. Look at these kids enjoying the show. You might be asking, what could possibly be worse than all the things I just showed? Well, feast your eyes on this. Number 1, the donkey. Here it is, the moment you've all been dreading. The most unsettling, disturbing, and creepy moment I have ever seen in Barney. Practically this entire episode is creepy because of, well, let's get this over with, and I apologize in advance for the nightmares. The undisputable horror happens in, you guessed it, Barney and the Backyard Gang, of course. In the episode Rock with Barney, which by the way is the last Backyard Gang episode. After this episode, the show became the Barney and Friends show we all know and hate. Let me just show you why this episode is so infamous. This freaking donkey! For absolutely no apparent reason, this episode has a strange and disturbing donkey statue. Just look at its face! This face looks cold, dead, and soulless. It's because of those lifeless, staring eyes. This donkey is out for blood. Oh, but it gets worse! Just listen to the donkey's blood-curdling scream!
What's that? Me scared. It's okay, baby Bob.
No, it's not okay! What even was that noise? That doesn't sound like a regular donkey! It sounds like a donkey in pain! And it makes that noise twice! If you thought the donkey was bad enough as it is, well, it gets even worse! The blasted donkey winks at the camera! Its wink is so poorly drawn and sudden that it looks absolutely disturbing! And this is how the episode ends! Can this get any worse? It gets worse. Yes, the donkey reappears during the credits, and wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, it winks again! Why does this donkey exist? Why couldn't they just use an actual living donkey? They're much more adorable. Well, guess what? They did have an actual living donkey on stage. So that brings up the question, if they had a real donkey the whole time, then what was the point of even creating that evil demon donkey statue? Like the bear from earlier, this donkey scared so many people, and even the bear is considered kinda cute by at least 2 or 3 people, but the donkey has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Some people even say that the winking donkey is even scarier than the winking Pooh doll. Though I personally disagree. In my opinion, Pooh's wink is freakier than everything on this list. But I gotta admit, that donkey is still the most disturbing thing to ever come out of Barney. Well, YouTube, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this creepy video full of surprisingly unsettling terrors that you could have never imagined. This is Cintron Productions. Peace out, YouTube. Ah!